Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Defy Aging. We are in week 20. I'm Coach Allison, and week 20 means that it's another mobility week. So, welcome to Mobility Week. This week for mobility, we're going to do an in your own space type of routine. So, you'll be going at your own pace at that. There's 6 exercises, everything is 8 reps. That seems like a small amount of reps, right? But it's because some of these movements are kind of big, slow movements, or maybe some slightly intricate. So each rep will take a bit of time, a few seconds. Also, with mobility, we want to focus more on going slow and controlled, really focus on what we're feeling as far as the movement and our joints and our muscles. We just want that focus. So we don't need to worry about doing a ton of reps or anything like that. So 8 just seems to be a good number for that. So that is why the rep count might seem a little bit low. Everything again is 8 reps. Some things are single-sided, so it'll of course be 8 reps on each side. But that's nice. You don't have to keep looking at the board to check different rep counts. Just keep that 8 in your mind. And you just go through it at your own pace for a duration of 25 minutes. So it doesn't matter how many times you get through it. A couple weeks ago, we had the AMRAP, which was as many rounds as possible. And that was more of a traditional circuit style routine where we were kind of going for getting a lot of rounds in to challenge ourselves to go quickly. That's not the case with this. Take everything slow. Doesn't matter how many rounds you get in. We're going to set a clock for 25 minutes and see how many rounds you get through. It doesn't matter. And I say that just to reiterate that we're not trying to go fast. We want everything to be slow, controlled, getting that mobility benefit out of it. All right, that being said, let's jump into the demonstrations. Okay, everybody, our first exercise is called an arm bar. We've done this once in the past for a past mobility week. It's been a while. So for many of you, it might be new. So this is probably the slowest movement of the bunch this week. So it is a little complicated. So one arm is going to be up. You can make a fist or you can do like pointed fingers, whatever you like. That doesn't really matter. I like to make a fist like I'm holding onto a weight or something. The same side leg is going to come up like this. The other leg is stretched out. This arm, over here can come out for some leverage if you would like, or you can leave it at your side. I'll let that be up to you as well. What we're doing is we are keeping this arm as still as possible. So always pointing to the ceiling, always straight up and down. We're not letting it come down here, not over here, not over here. That's the goal with this arm. What we're doing with the rest of the body is it takes a little bit of core engagement to get this movement started. Taking this leg, crossing it over. So it's very similar to our cross body stretch. Actually, the end part of this is exactly the same. So all the way over, keeping this arm still. So try not to let this arm come over like this. And then we come back to the starting point. So I'll do a couple in a row so you can see. Over and back. And I don't know if it'll help change anything or help the demonstration, but I'll do the other side too, just to show you from both angles, from both sides. Now this arm is going to stay straight. I'm going to take this leg, cross it over. I'm letting my hips turn and everything. Now I'm trying to keep, in order to keep this arm straight up and down, I need to try to keep the shoulder on the floor, because what's wanting to happen is this. See how now my shoulder lifted off the floor and my arm is angled out this way, but I want the shoulder and the arm exactly in that same starting position that it started in. So that's 1, 2, everything is slow. So, okay, that was a little complicated. That's probably going to be the longest. Oh, hello here. Probably going to be the longest demo of all of them. Now, if anyone is not getting onto the floor, it's going to look a little different, similar concept with like the rotation and the twist. You're going to sit. We're going to get one leg up like this. Now, if we're unable to get this leg all the way up to the knee like this, then cross it in front at the ankle. It'll be a little less of a stretch. So definitely bring it up if you're able. And it's okay if you have to like lift your leg up there. Totally fine. As long as when it's up here, there's no pain. And then what we're going to do is take, let's see, it's the same. I had to think about this for a second. For this one, it's going to be the opposite side. So I'm going to take my opposite side arm. We're just going to bring it around and twist as far as you can and come back to the center. Bring it around and twist back to the center. I'll do one on the other side. I don't know if it'll different sides from the camera can get a different angle of what I'm doing. So this might help to see both sides. Let your head follow your hand. So my whole torso is twisting, not just my arm, and I'm still looking forward. No, let your shoulders and everything, so your head too, go in the direction of your hand. So that'll be your movement if we're staying off the floor. But otherwise, that's called the arm bar, 8 on each side, exercise 1. Alrighty, exercise 2, thread the needle with the rotation. We've put this in the warm-up often over the years, so many of you might be familiar with it. It's kind of a cross between child's pose and then a rotational type of movement. So, so we start on hands and knees, and we're going to take one arm, reach it underneath, again, letting my head and everything turn as well, because I'm trying to twist as far as I can. I want you to pretend there's like something just out of your reach over here. You're trying really hard to reach for it. And then we go the opposite way, and now we're reaching up. I'll show you one from the other direction. Reaching under as far as you can, rotating, twisting, reaching up. What we want to avoid is this arm that's on the floor. Want to avoid it bending at all. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Oftentimes, I've seen many people, when they're trying to do this part and trying to reach farther, watch this arm here. They start to bend this arm to reach farther. We want to keep the arm straight so that the mobility and the movement is all happening here in the torso and the rotation. So 8 each side, don't alternate sides, do all 8 on one side. So it just moves nice and smooth, it just keeps flowing. And then all 8 on the other side. And of course, incline option, right, is same thing. Everything is exactly the same. We are standing with a box for support instead of the floor. Reach under, again, don't bend this elbow. Reach under, rotate, and reach up. Reach under, and so on, nice and slow and steady. 8 each side, that's our thread the needle. Right, exercise 3. Everyone will need their own kettlebell. Doesn't matter what weight, but what does matter is the height. The taller kettlebell you choose, the harder this will be, and the heavier weights are just a little bit bigger. But the weight itself, you're not going to be doing anything with the actual weight itself, so don't worry about that. I think we had this in our last mobility week, maybe in week 10, I think. Okay, you can support yourself by leaning back on your hands, kind of comfy to start. The kettlebell is to the outside of your lower leg or ankle. And we lift up and over, up and over. Trying to keep this leg as straight as possible. We're trying to avoid bending it like this. That takes out some of the hip challenge and the hip mobility that we are going for. This other leg, it's more advanced to keep this other leg straight. To add a little extra support for yourself, you can bend that leg, because what that does is now I'm able to sort of use my foot pressing into the floor as some leverage. So that's all that does. But the main thing is keeping this leg that's moving, keeping it from bending. We don't want the bend like this. Keep it straight. Okay, 8, over and back is 1 rep. Just like going over how to count this. So this would be over and back is 1, over and back is 2. And so on. So you do 8 on that side, and then switch sides. If you're seated, if we're not doing the floor, very, very similar concept. We'll be sitting on something, and we step up and over like this. Now, the tricky thing here is make sure the kettlebell is far enough forward. If it's too far back, let me maybe show you kind of more of the side, perhaps. If it's too far back, inadvertently, it's not a conscious thing we're doing. We tend to kind of want to start to swing. See how my foot's going in front of it? Now, it's not the end of the world, but it's not ensuring that we're having to really lift and get that mobility of lifting the leg, because we're kind of sort of cheating and letting it swing in front. So make sure this is far enough forward where you can't. Now, if I try to go in front of it, it's going to hit it. So make sure it's far enough forward where you are ensuring that you're going up and directly over the top. Okay? 8 on each side, no matter if you're on the floor or on a chair, and that's our up and over. Next one is a side lying shoulder external rotation. So we are going to be on the floor. A lot of these, I guess, they're on the floor, huh? On your side, you can rest your head in your hand, okay, and bend the knees to a comfortable position. Don't overthink the lower body, just get comfortable. You can do this. I have a 3 pounder. You can do this with a 1 or 2 pound weight, maybe 5, but you don't even have to use weight either. So, but something very light if you're choosing to use weight. And we're rotating externally, so we're rotating away from the body. Slow and steady. Go as far back as you can until this is about as far as I can go now. Watch my body. If I go any farther, it's actually I'm tilting. So I'm taking my torso and leaning back. So we don't want to do that. So only go as far as you can until you know that to get any farther, you'd have to tilt your body. If that's high enough, that's far enough. And watch out for your wrist. I hope you can see my wrist. What we're trying to avoid is like flinging the wrist like this. That can happen inadvertently as well. I think our brain thinks that we're getting farther of a movement if we just do that little wrist flick. So we always want a straight, strong wrist. So you can even watch your hand, your arm, to make sure that's not happening. Slow and steady. We don't do this one fast. Okay, so it should take about 2 seconds up, maybe even 3, and 2 to 3 seconds down. Very slow. Last thing I'll point out is that you keep your arm glued to your side here. So we're not letting the arm like raise off the body like this, but instead your elbow is like super glued to your side. Okay, lots of little points on that one. 8 one side, roll over and do 8 on the other. Now, anyone staying off the floor, I'm gonna bring you with me. We can have some bands hooked up and it'll be a band external rotation. Okay, like this, the band is anchored to my side here, and it's exactly the same thing. However, I think it's actually a little trickier in the sense that it's harder to keep the arm at your side. When you're lying down, gravity is kind of keeping, this is stupid, but like gravity is kind of keeping my arm down right now, right? That was me pretending to lay down while I'm standing. However, we don't have that in this option. So it's very common to kind of do this, and it isn't really doing the type of mobility we want happening in the shoulder. So try, if you're doing this version, try very hard to always feel the elbow connected to your side there. Okay? So whether you're doing the floor or the standing version, 8 on each side. All right, the next one is a little bit goofy, and I actually forget what I call it. I think sumo squat hip mobility, I think is the name of it. Doesn't matter what the name is. It's weird. You're in a sumo squat position, but we're not really doing any sumo squats. So wide stance, okay. I'm trying to find the best angle. We are coming down like you're doing a sumo, but we're trying to grab as low as you can, your ankle. If that's too low, you can grab like just above the ankle, shin. Show you what I mean here. I'm grabbing hold of my ankle. I have a stupid big tongue of my shoe, so I have to kind of go under that. And what we're trying to do is sink the hips down as low as your range of motion allows, or a mobility, and then straighten the legs. And down and up. I don't know the best angle to see. I'll do from the front if that helps, sinking my butt down, straightening my legs up. And then maybe all the way from the side, perhaps. That'll help. So again, grabbing my sumo position, grabbing my ankles, sinking my butt down, and then sticking my butt up, straightening the legs. Down and up. That one it is tiring on the legs too. But that is hip mainly, and a little bit of knee mobility. Only I will throw this out. Typically with Defy Aging, with all exercises, we do not put the head lower than the heart. This one, depending on your mobility / flexibility ability, the head might go a little low. I want everyone to be very cautious of how they're feeling. If they're getting any dizziness or lightheadedness, we can make a change to this one and maybe just do a deep sumo squat. It's a little different. That keeps your head above the heart. But it's so minimal. The head really just is kind of right there. So that's why I'm still tossing this one in. Just be cautious of how you're feeling. Okay, so that's our sumo squat mobility exercise number 5. Last but not least, we do this in our regular routine actually quite often. It's going to be a kettlebell halo. That's just so good for shoulder mobility because it moves that shoulder ball and socket joint pretty much like its full kind of rotation. So it is a great one for mobility, but you get a little strengthening with it too. You could probably just use the same kettlebell that you use for the up and over. So maybe select the kettlebell that you're using for that one based on what you want to use for your halo, just to make it less equipment, but whatever you'd like to do. Bottoms up, hold at the base of the handles like so. Go around the head, 8 times one direction, slow and steady. We're trying to keep it as low as we can and as tight into the head as we can. I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm keeping it very low. See how close it is to my shoulder? Behind my head, I'm letting it dip really low there. And then coming around, it really gets the hair. It messes up your hair, so we have to kind of deal with that because you're keeping it so tight. It kind of, anyways, what we're trying to avoid is like keeping it high up here and kind of far away from the head. That's not really serving its purpose. So keep it as low and tight as you can. 80th direction, pretty straightforward. If there's any pain with that, talk to your coach. They can give you a different shoulder mobility exercise that they know it should be fine. But if there happens to be any shoulder pain with that, let your coach know. All right, so those were all of our mobility movements. Now we do have a team builder, back to a team builder this week. We didn't get much high intensity, like aerobic stuff with our mobility work. Some of it might be in its own way, but maybe that's sumo one. But we are going to do a battle rope relay. So that really gets some high intensity cardio for the last couple minutes of the routine today. 2 teams, okay? And I think all clubs have 2 battle ropes. If not, do just 1 team of everyone working together. That's okay. But 2 teams, this way we can have a little friendly competition to see which team finishes first. And everybody in each team, let's say I have a team of 3 people, myself and 2 more. We're each going to take turns doing I'm not going to pull the battle rope out. I'm too lazy. Double arm slam. We use the battle ropes quite often. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. We're going to 50, 5, 0. Or should the 5 be over here from your point of view? I'm not sure. Now I'm going to leave it up to your coach, or maybe consensus of each group each day. If you want to do all 50 at once, or if each person wants to run through twice to do 25 on the first time they're at the rope and then 25 the second time they hit the rope for a total of 50. But the whole group should do the same protocol. And we'll see which team, if you're having 2 teams, which team finishes first with the 50 reps. All right. They'll spike the heart rate a little bit and get a little bit of friendly competition for the end. All right, and that wraps up week 20's routine. So this is our mobility week for this round. We'll hit it again in week 30, so in 10 more weeks. I don't want to think about that far ahead. I just want to enjoy the spring and early summer here. But anyway, I hope you enjoy these movements. Good luck, and I'll see you back for week 21.